And if he ain't, it'd just be...
That's a shame, because he's been so good for you, isn't he?
Mate, he's been unreal. Like, that game against Lons, he got hooked at half-time. I still gave him man of the match. He was unplayable that day. Yeah, against Wolves, absolutely quality and on smoke again. Then suddenly his calf and he went off. Arteta said in the press conference that he alluded to the fact, without saying it, it'd probably be Ben White playing. Yeah, so, but I ain't too disappointed with that. Although Ben White's not been great this season, he should be dealing with Luton at right back. Let's be real. Yeah, the two centre backs, unbelievable this season. Yeah, Saliba got his first booking of the season. I think Gabriel's only had one booking this season. Declan Rice again. Yeah, because the other players in midfield played so well over the last few games. Declan Rice ain't standing out so much, but he was brilliant at the weekend. Always got a toe in the way, always putting someone off balance, yeah, always getting stuck in, yeah, making it hard for him. Yeah, and I think the last two games, he's been absolutely quality, but he hasn't got the plaudits and the adulation up here because the other players around him have actually stepped up as well. But the last two have been his best two performances. Yeah, but again, he ain't been booked this season. Ain't had a yellow card all season.
Shows how good he is at what he does, doesn't it? That he's not getting, he isn't even having to commit. He isn't even having to commit those kind of yellow card fouls to stop teams from attacking. And he's.
But that's because we're so in control of games, Terry. Yeah, and this is why I get the ump sometimes that games are so tight when they don't need to be. Right, that game against Wolves at the weekend, yeah, Odegaard put 3 on a plate. Yeah, what more can he do? Like, he scored a goal. Yeah, he run the midfield and he put 3 on a plate. Yeah, and that is why I sit there and get the ump, because I was screaming down that watch along with Matty and Ola. Yeah, why are we sitting back? Why? Yes, okay, we're creating, but we're not going for it. But it's like we're reserving energy. Reserving it for what? Yeah, reserve it for what? Like, go and kill this game off. We were, before Wolves scored, we were 1 goal difference behind Man City. 1 goal. So I'm screaming them like, watch along. Go and get another 2, 3, 4 more goals. Get the goal difference up. They're playing Spurs the next day. We see what happened there. And now, because listen, let's be real. You write Man City off at your peril, mate. They're coming back.
Yeah. I think writing City. I agree. I think writing City off is crazy. I do agree with that. Even they're still the favourites in my opinion. Even if you go 6 points clear tonight, even if they lose to Villa tomorrow night and there's a 6-point difference, they're still my favourites. Sorry.
We've got Villa at the weekend.
And you've got Villa at the weekend. Yeah, that's you got Villa and then Liverpool in close succession. So that's why you can't just go right 6 points. That's it. I will say this though. I do believe it's right that you reserve energy. I did say in my match reaction, so I want to be very clear. You should have got that 3rd goal. You should have pushed a little harder for it.
That's when you reserve energy. 3-0 up, game done.
But I think that you've got it
dodgy, Terry, always.
No, I understand that. I think this year though you've game managed pretty well throughout the majority of most matches. I feel like you burned out towards the end of last season. You're playing in 2 big competitions this year, so you have to get that balance right. But there's something you pulled on that I think is so true. When you said Arsenal control games so well, and you do. And I think for me, what's been really disheartening as a football fan, listening to the punditry in the last few weeks, for the first time ever in my lifetime, and maybe it's because Fergie said it when I was quite young, suddenly being good at controlling games and being the best team defensively is suddenly being overlooked as unsustainable. And it's all about how good you are at attacking. When last year, all that happened is by the pundits is you were ridiculed for being a good attacking team, but couldn't control games and weren't strong enough defensively.
When I say controlling games, Terry, yeah, we have controlled games very well, but that's only because we've got the result at the end of it, right? Because there's been games where we've wobbled, right? Nottingham Forest, if that game went another 5 minutes, they equalise, right? And we were at home cruising that game. Fulham, yeah, we controlled that game all the way through it and then let them back in right at the death. Yeah, why? Because again, it was a home game. It's too easy, and this is why I doubt we win the league. Yeah, I hope I'm wrong, and I hope I'm sat here and we're champions this time next year when we're talking about we can retain it and this and that, yeah? But when we're playing at home, like I said, if you look at our goals against at home, I think it's 7 or 8 we've conceded out of the 11, right? We've got to stop doing that, yeah? Because if we can keep, like, if we go into home games and go and blitz a team, right, like we did last season, we've got it in us. We know we can do it. We've done it against Lons. We've done it against Wolves for 20 minutes. We've done it against Man United and Tottenham over the last couple of seasons. We know we can go and batter teams. So go and batter the teams, get the 3-0. I know you can't do it every game, but go out there with that intensity for 30 minutes. Try and blow teams away. Yeah, look at this lot behind me. Every single time you'd have the ticker tape coming up, Soccer Saturday, Arsenal were 4-0 up, 21 minutes gone. Game over, get the cigars out. And then you reserve the energy. And that's why, and yes, I know it's different back then, different eras and all of that. But it was still intense. Yeah, they were still getting tackles flying into them. It's still a hard game.
No,
Football's not really changed a great deal. It's changed, but it's not changed.
I understand that, and I get where you're coming from. I just think, and someone in the comments like, why do I care so much about what the pundits say about Arsenal? I keep saying this. No, it's not that. I keep saying it on these shows, and I've said it. I know me and you talk about it privately, and I can take the banter from you. It's not about Arsenal. It's about I want from paid pundits that we all pay money into. I want to suddenly start talking about a good defense being almost irrelevant for a title charge, saying that it doesn't really matter. Do you know why I don't like it? Because it's gaslighting. It's false information. It isn't just it's not a bad opinion, as in like sometimes you hear a bad opinion and you laugh it off. When you start seeing enough people gaslight it, it's ridiculous. Like what we saw at the weekend. So the way Pep spoke about the refs, the way Haaland got in the referee's face, I actually understand it. And to a degree, I had no personal issue with it. Certain journalists wrote about it and pundits and said they behaved perfectly. They understood why they were that angry. They totally got it. When Arsenal do it, they write that you're the stench of football that is causing abuse to referees. Same journalists, same pundits. So for me, I call out the inconsistency because one day that inconsistency could be leveled against my team or something that I believe in. And I believe that there should be a level of integrity to what we talk about. So for you, whether people like you or not, Lee, whether they agree with you or not, you hold a certain standard. And teams should only celebrate when they reach a certain level of football and a certain, they're achieving certain trophies. You just maintain, whether people like your standard, at least you're consistent with it. At the end of the day, what I don't like is imagine one week you say, if you're not winning trophies, you're a bum, but then you're celebrating a manager that never wins trophies. That's how I view the media. These viewers would call you out for it. But yet come for me when I call out the same hypocrisy from the media when it comes to talking about teams. That's if the media weren't doing it, I wouldn't say anything.
Sky Sports are ex-players that have won trophies at the club that they support, so they're going to back their guy. The only one I listen to on that channel is Roy Keane. Yeah, the rest of them chat rubbish. Yeah, he's the only one who says it is. Like genuinely, only one. He couldn't care less. He don't need the money. He don't need it. He don't need the job.
Did you see what he said about Dynamo, the magician?
No, go on.
So Dynamo did a really great trick where he basically got like a car that got set on fire and then it turned into an ice cube in Michael Richards' hand. And they're like, wow, what a trick. And then so Dynamo was in Roy Keane's seat and then it cut to when Roy Keane was back on the set. And they went, Roy, it was brilliant what he just did there. And everyone was clapping saying, what a trick. And then the camera went to Roy Keane. He went, why are we cheering? He's just doing his job. I was like, yeah, very, very funny. But look, listen, I understand where you're coming from. And look, sometimes pundits say things I agree with. It's not even agreeing with their personal opinion. It's when they suddenly start to...
You're just saying keep it consistent. That's what you mean.
It's like, say Gary Neville every week says the hardest thing to do is football is score. It's the hardest skill in the world. And if you're a goal scorer, I back you. And then suddenly there's someone scoring lots of goals. All he does is slag off. And then he says, I don't care about his goals. That's a hypothetical example. That is when I would call out the hypocrisy because 1 minute it matters and the next minute it's an irrelevant element. I call out people.
Let me ask you this question, Mike, because I've heard Carefree Lewis say this before, talking about 29, yeah? Right? Because he scored the winner in the Champions League final against them, right? Or for them, sorry. He said, right, 29 gets all the credit. Yeah, because he scored the Champions League final goal, the winning goal against Man City, yeah? He said, well, what's harder to do against Manchester City? Score a goal or keep a clean sheet? That's a great question.
Keep a clean sheet. Yeah.
So why does 29 get all the glory? Because he scored the goal. Goals win you games. Yeah, of course they do. But the defence don't even get a look in on that Champions League thing. It's all about that one player because he scored the winner. And this is where I take, like... I just think sometimes, not particularly just that player, but people just focus so much on goals, and forget about defending. Yeah, so when they slag off managers that can defend and set a team up defensively well, and what's his name, Simeone, he's negative football. No, the art of defending is dead. But it's no coincidence, and me and Rant spoke about this earlier, no coincidence that Pep Guardiola went with 4 centre-backs towards the back end of last season. Why? He didn't have them all inverting this and inverting. Yes, Johnny Stones and all of that was coming into midfield, but ultimately his job was to defend. You got a Kanji playing right back in the Champions League. He's a centre back. Why? Because he's good on one-on-ones. Yeah, Kyle Walker's a bit erratic at times, and recovery pace is out of position. So defending is now coming back into the game. Yeah, and you're going away from this inverted stuff. Why? Because it goes in cycles.
So,
yeah?
so I agree with what you're saying there, and I think that there are double standards in it. And I think if you're talking about, if someone says Kai Havertz done nothing ever once in football, that's a lie. He scored a winning goal in the Champions League final, which is big, but he wasn't the only reason that Chelsea won the Champions League. The way in that period of time Tuchel had them defending, how hard they were to break down, was a huge reason as to why they won the Champions League that season. And I totally agree. It's about being consistent. There's an interesting comment here from Twisted, and I want to read it out because it's relevant. He says, Terry, why can you change your mind, but they can't? And again,
it's Terry's channel.
Yeah, maybe. It's not about them changing their mind.
Dictatorship.
Yeah, it's not about them changing their mind, because I don't believe that people suddenly don't believe that a strong defense is important. I believe they are only doctoring their opinion to shit on another club, and they will turn it straight back around when it suits their purpose. So if someone turned around and went, you know what, I think they've all been hoodwinked for 20 years. It isn't a strong defense that wins you Prems, it's having the best attack, and they stand up by that point for a period of time, then I won't have an issue with it. But it's when I can tell, and Twisted, you know as well as I do, when they're picking and choosing what they say purely based on shitting on a club, I don't like it.
It's normally the team that win the league is normally the team with the best defense and the best attack in terms of goal output and goal conceded. Yeah. I mean, look at Chelsea when they conceded 15 goals. That'll never be done again, mate.
No, exactly.
Yeah, and you knew that if you scored against them, you've had a touch. Yeah, because you ain't scoring. Same when we beat Liverpool.
I would have a bet. I would have a bet. If you look at the last
two at Anfield, never been done.
I reckon if you looked at the last 30 league title winners, I guarantee. This is the bet I would put on without looking. I bet the winner each time is in the top 3 teams every year for the defensive record of goals conceded.
All day long.
At least top 3. They've got to be. And goals scored up there as well. And I'm not saying goals are not important, but it's suddenly this disregard.
And look at why Liverpool didn't win it under Brendan Rodgers. Brendan Rodgers has got loads of goals, but conceded 50 plus. You can't win.
That's why I'm calling this out, right? So all I heard from about March onwards, Liverpool won't quite do it. They can see too many opportunities. The reason this year, I don't think, and there's a few Liverpool fans in the comments saying like things like this, according to Terry, the title race is between first place and third place City. Never seen a title race like this before. I think Liverpool will be in the title race. The one reason that I'm predicting Liverpool to come third, and I think they'll slightly fall away from the other two, slightly, is because you do concede too many opportunities. You do concede too many openings to your rivals in comparison to Arsenal. Now, City at the moment are leaking goals, but they've got such a pedigree over the last 7 years. I think they're going to fix it at some point very soon. When it comes to Liverpool, I'm not yet convinced that you're gonna have a good enough defense to quite win it. That's the only reason. And the only reason I mentioned City today and not Liverpool, and I know that is because City are still the favourites to win the league. So I would look at it this way right now: whether you're Liverpool or Liverpool or Arsenal, I don't think you focus on the other one. I think you focus on how far you are ahead of City because they're the favourites. That is what I think you need. You know, if you're 6 points clear of City and 4 points clear of Liverpool, I think there's more chance of City catching you than Liverpool. So it's not a dig.
Last season we were up against one team. This year it's looking early on, and it is early on. It's looking like there's 2 with us. Yeah. So it was easier to win it last year against one. Then it's going to be, by the looks of it, to plan for the other 2 teams as well as us. It's going to be very difficult, which will make it probably a better achievement if we do it against 2 teams than it would against City. Yeah, absolutely. But not only that, if you look at the goals that Man City have conceded this season, I think they conceded 16. They conceded 7 of them in 2 games.
No, of course, and that whether that continues. Twisted here. Look
at Liverpool, they conceded 14. They conceded 3 at the weekend.
Mm.
Yeah, and it's like bunches in one weird off-key game, 4-4 with Man City and a 4-3 at the weekend.
Yeah. It's very different. This is Terry. Liverpool can buy in January and improve. And again, this is where I look at myself as not being a hypocrite. I'll judge the new Man United board when they come in and see what they do. If Liverpool go out and buy a world-class DM in January, and then we see them leaking less opportunities, and they're only 3 points off the top, say, as an example, my opinion will change.
They need a centre back in the midfielder.
Yeah, and until them players come in and they leak less opportunity. And Rom, who's a big Liverpool fan, says facts theory. The only way we can win the title is by addressing our issues in the January window. And we agree. It's not a dig at Liverpool. And I still think you're going to be up there or thereabouts.
When it comes to all 3 of us, Man City, Arsenal, and Liverpool. Man City, their squad is not massive like everyone keeps claiming it is. They've just got 2 or 3 players that can play anywhere. Bernardo can play left back, CM, right wing, false 9, number 10. Yeah, do you know what I'm saying? They've got players. John Stones can play 2 or 3 positions. The thing is, when they come to January, the same as us and Liverpool, yeah, and I've seen Arsenal last season in January absolutely bottle it in that January window. Hopefully they've learned their lesson this January. Yeah, because if we actually go out there and buy 2 or 3 players, we win it.
I hear you on that.
If Liverpool do better
you.
window than us, or City do a better window than both, then City win it again, or Liverpool win it. Whoever
It's
has the
gonna
best
be-
window out of the 3 wins it.